Hi everyone, it's Joy and welcome to my global Stampin' Up! Vlog hop for the month of August 2021. I'm so happy that you're going to be here with me today, and I will be doing a technique using the Soft Pastels assortment. It comes in these great pastels, and I'm going to show you a couple of things to do with them. I also will be using the Snowflake Wishes stamp set and the coordinating So Many Snowflakes dies. Let me show you those. There is this die with these individual snowflakes, and then all of these other great snowflakes. So that is a really wonderful die set to get on its own, but I love the way it coordinates with the Snowflake Wishes stamp set. And I am not going to be making a Christmas card, but instead a winter friendship card. I'm also going to be using the Merry Melody 3D embossing folder and the let's see, white glittered organdy ribbon. These two items are currently in the mini catalog that is going on right now. It is July to December 2021, but it didn't start until August because of shipping delays. But this is the page with the embossing folder, and the music has the music notes on it. Then the white glittered organdy ribbon is here on this page. The rest of the products that I'll be using are in the annual catalog, and those are on page 90 for the Snowflake Wishes stamp set. And then let's see, the shimmery white cardstock, I will be using that for part of my project, and the Soft Pastels assortment. So be sure to look in your annual catalog and your mini catalog for the products that I used for this project. After this video, you will have a link to hop to the next person in the list for this vlog hop. So be sure to do that after you've watched my video. Let's get started on our project. First, I took a piece of shimmery white cardstock, and I don't think you're going to be able to see the shimmer on this, but I'll hold it just in case. It has all these nice little sparkles running through this paper. So I marked it, and then I turned it around and marked it on the other side. So it is 2 1/8 or 6 centimeters if you're going to do an A4 card, and 2 1/8 on this side. So once you get that done, you need to put it in your paper trimmer, and you need to line up those marks where the groove is the cutting blade goes into. So you got it in this groove and this groove, and then use your cutting blade and come along like this so that you have two pieces, so that you can make 2 cards with this one piece. I'm also going to be using my Stamparatus, which I've already put the 3 different snowflakes from this set into my Stamparatus. And I'm going to bring in a piece of the shimmery white and line that up the way I want it on my grid paper, so that it will stamp like so. And I'm going to use the Versamark ink. So this is an old pad And I've, refilled it with Versamark ink a few times. So this ink will stamp clear, and then we're going to do a little stamping magic. Once you have that inked well, you're going to put that on top, and then you're going to rub that, give that a nice, good, firm rub. Make sure you get all of those areas of those snowflakes. And as you can see, you can't see any of that ink. So actually, instead of you can see, you don't see where I have stamped. But I am bringing in the Soft Pastels assortment and a piece of scratch paper and my Take Your Pick tool. I'm going to change out this tip for the spatula tip. And we're going to open up this box, and I'm going to pull out, this is Coastal Cabana, and then I want Granny Apple Green, and I want the Gorgeous Grape. So I'm going to take my spatula and I'm going to scrape off some shavings and I'm going to do one color at a time to keep from getting things mixed up. And I'm going to use a sponge dauber, bring in this piece, and I'm going to get just some of the chalk shavings onto my sponge dauber, and then I'm going to dab up and down on top of that ink. And as you can see, it's a little magic because it brings that stamped image to the surface in the color of our chalk. So just keep doing that until you get the color intensity that you want. And then you're going to take and you can, blow on it with your breath, a little air on that to get the extra chalk off. Bring it black, and as you can see, there's a nice little faint halo there, and the more chalk you put on it, you might have a little bit more of a halo, but that looks perfectly fine. Now let's go ahead and do some shavings of the Gorgeous Grape and bring in another sponge dauber, and we're going to repeat that. See how that just makes the image just pop to life, which is why we call this technique Poppin Pastels. And again, I'm just using a straight up and down dabbing motion, and you can keep adding chalk until you get it the intensity that you want it. And again, we're going to blow off that extra excess pastel chalk. And see how we're creating this nice little pretty halo here. Lastly, we want to do our Granny Apple Green. Bringing in a third sponge dauber. That is our snowflakes on this one. Now, the Versamark ink will kind of serve as a binder for this pastel chalk. But if you want to be extra sure that it is fixed onto that cardstock and won't rub off later, this is just some inexpensive hairspray that I had around the house. And you can go ahead and hold it a distance away in a ventilated area, and you can spray that for a little fixative. You can also use an artist fixative if you have that. Now I have a piece that I've already sprayed some of the fixative on. As you can see, it did change my gorgeous grape just a little bit, so it looks a little bit more like rich raspberry, but that still looks great on my project. To complete this piece of my project, I am going to bring in some of the Pool Party ink and this kind of grouping of small tiny snowflakes. And I'm going to stamp off first, and then I'm going to stamp on to my project in just a few little places to just give this just a little extra. All right, so that just gives a little bit extra depth to that piece. I have also taken a piece of the Pool Party cardstock, and I have cut that the same width as my card, the front of my card base, and then about 3.5 inches or 10 centimeters. I'm going to bring in my pastels once again, and this time I'm going to do a rubbing technique. So I'm calling this Rubbin pastels, and I'm going to take this pastel in the Coastal Cabana. I'm just going to rub this directly on top of this cardstock. And I can blow off the excess chalk. Then when I bring it back in, there is some chalk in a couple of other areas that if I want to remove it, it looks great as it is, but if you want to remove it, you can use an eraser. Make sure it doesn't have any pencil or lead onto your eraser. And you can come in and you can just erase a couple of areas on this piece where you got pastel chalk where you didn't want it. So now that we have these two pieces ready to go, I'm going to bring in my A2 card base, which is half of an 11-inch by 8.5 inch piece. So this is half, so it's 11 inches by 4.25 inches. The metric measurements for an A2 will be listed in the measurements page at the end of this video. We're going to go ahead and attach this piece. Again, you're going to want to make sure that you do use a fixative on this. So your hairspray or your art fixative. So I have a piece that I've already sprayed, so I'll use that piece instead, because I don't want a sample where I've got chalk, you know, coming off for a card that I'm going to mail to somebody. So I want to make sure I get a good amount of tape runner on all 4 sides of that, and this is cut to fit exactly on this card front. So we're just laying that right on top. Before I adhere this piece, I'm going to attach it with a little bit of washi tape or other low-tack tape, because I won't have another piece that I want to put on here, but I need to have this piece temporarily attached so that I can know where to place that piece. I'm taking a strip of Granny Apple Green. This is basically a strip that I just found in my stash, and I'm going to attach that. Now it is longer than what I need it to be, so this will go underneath this with some of it showing. Again, I want to make sure that this is on where I want it, and then that helps me know where to put this piece, and this piece I have permanently attached it. So now I can go ahead and I can trim that off with my paper snips. And now I'm ready to put some dimensionals on the back of this piece. And I'm lining it up to exactly match the front of my card base. Not easy to do when you have a camera where your head would normally be above this project. Okay, that looks pretty good. And of course, I have jumped ahead a little too fast. So I wanted to attach my ribbon on here first. So let me go ahead and tie my ribbon, and I think I can lift that up without too much problem. It hasn't attached down too hard yet. Leave that up for a minute. And I have ribbon. I've cut a short piece, and I'm going to tie a long piece around it. So I'm taking and doing a loop like I'm going to tie a knot, slipping that under that top loop, and then I'm pulling this tight around this piece, and then you'll want to go ahead, play with that a little bit until you get it the way you want. I have gone ahead and done one already, and I need a glue dot on the back of this. Let's see. Let's put a glue dot here and one on the other side. So that I can wrap my ribbon around. Normally I would do this before I had my dimensionals on, but you know, sometimes you just have to improvise. Going to need to trim that, which again would have been easier if I had done it first before I set it down on my card. Now let's work on our greeting. I have our friendship is one of a kind. And I'm going to take the Gorgeous Grape ink, and I'm going to stamp that onto a piece of basic white that I have cut to size. And I have a piece of Gorgeous Grape and a piece of Highland Heather to layer for that greeting. And attaching some dimensionals. Placing that on the front. And I'm going to give this ribbon just a little bit of a trim here. I'm also bringing in some snowflakes that I cut out of the basic white cardstock. And I need some very tiny strips of dimensional onto these pieces. So I'm going to cut some of these dimensionals in half and then in quarters. Now that I have some dimensionals, some very small pieces of dimensionals on the back of these snowflakes, I'm going to go ahead and place those onto my project. Trim off this part that's hanging off. And for a finishing touch on the front, I'm going to place some rhinestones, the Basic Jewels rhinestones. I'm going to put a large one and a couple of the smallest ones into the centers of these snowflakes. And then I want a medium one and a small one onto my sentiment piece. So make sure those are on really well. So there you have it. There is our Friendship is One of a Kind card. Now, no card is fully complete without an inside, so I have gone ahead and done an inside piece. Again, putting it in the Stamparatus and using the Versamark and then the Poppin Pastels technique with the soft pastels chalks. And I'm going to attach that into the inside of our card. Now we have a beautiful outside and a beautiful inside. Thank you for watching this August Global Stampin' Up! Vlog Hop. Be sure to click on the link in the description to hop to the next person at the end of my video. And don't forget that the supplies and measurements are coming up next. I hope you have enjoyed my project, and maybe you've even learned something new or have a refresher on an old technique. Please be sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not already done so. If you wish to place an order, please contact your regular demonstrator, and if you don't have a regular demonstrator, you can use the Find a Demonstrator to locate one in your area. Until next month, bye!